In the preliminary task, we were taught 3 continuity techniques that were included in the brief issued to follow for the task. These 3 continuity techniques are the 180-degree rule, match on action, shot reverse shot, and the eyeline match. The 180-degree rule states that 2 characters in a scene should always have the same left-right relationship towards one another. If this rule is broken, it disrupts the scene and disorientates the viewing for the audience. There is an imagined semicircle starting from the back of one character and finishing at the back of the opposite character. The camera films in the shape to establish the geography of a scene. Secondly, the match on action shot shows cutting from one shot to another view that matches the previous shot's action and energy, giving the impression of continuous time when watching a film. The shot reverse shot technique is where one character is shown looking at another character, and then the shot is reversed and shown looking back at the character. It illustrates a sense of conversation. The final technique, the eyeline match, begins with the first shot showing you that the character is looking at an object. It then shows you the object and then returns back to a shot of the character. This shows the audience what the character is looking at. I've demonstrated the match on action shot when we see the main character stealing. I've done this through using 2 shots to create one smooth movement. I've also shown the 180-degree rule in my sequence when we see the shopkeeper and the security guard having a conversation. It's been used to show who's speaking and who is listening clearly. To effectively show that the shopkeeper is watching my main character, I've chosen to use the eyeline match. Here we see the shopkeeper in a close-up perspective, clearly looking at something. When we use an over-a-shoulder shot to focus on the main character, representing the point of view of the shopkeeper, and to enforce the shopkeeper is watching her in particular. We then revert back to a close-up shot of the shopkeeper, just to clarify that that was her view and that was what she was watching. When looking at my preliminary task in comparison with this piece, I can see that I've improved specifically regarding the range of shots used. For example, my sequence uses different shot angles to get across one piece of footage. For example, when my character is leaving the shop. Another example where I've shown my shots to vary, to make it more interesting, is through the part where she's shoplifting as I use a long shot into a close-up of the bag and hand moving during the action. I've developed editing as well based on audio. In my preliminary task, background sound was an obstacle when filming the conversation part as there was other people around. However, in this, I've made sure there isn't anyone about to alter the audio, and I've placed a continuous background sound throughout so it keeps realistic continuity throughout. Another issue I came across was that when filming, if you film the clips too short, you can potentially flag up obstacles when editing. I've learnt this through the errors of my preliminary task. Despite these points, one of the main points I've developed was editing, as it's dependent on precision, particularly when constructing coherent match on action shots. In terms of film production, I've learnt that it's important to take everything into account, for example, storyline, costume, props, etc., as they all coincide with each other in order to make it successful.